firstly by asking a whole series of written questions, by raising the issue in the Chamber, by pressing the last government to take stronger action with the Pakistan government, to press this government to do more, to use our influence to stop the murder of Hazaras in Pakistan. And of course, only recently, probably a few months ago, we had a full-scale debate here in Parliament. But I'm aware that it is one thing to continue to raise the issue here in Parliament, to hold protests out of Pakistan, outside of Pakistan embassy, to raise it at a constituency level. But ultimately, we can talk about those things, or we can try and act. And whilst it is very important that we bring to the world's attention the murders, the deaths, the genocide that's going on in Pakistan, it's one thing to raise awareness, it is another to seek to find a solution. And one of the purposes of today's meeting and conference, the first such conference to be held here in Parliament, is to try and constructively, through a series of presentations and suggestions, try and come up with ideas as to how we can move this issue forward to seek the result that we all want to see. But I am delighted that you're all here today. I'm delighted that this is the first gathering where we can perhaps discuss this in the mother of all parliaments. You are in Committee Room 10, where many historic events have happened in the past, and many serious pieces of legislation have been passed within the UK Parliament. So it is a fitting place for us to discuss these serious issues and these serious matters. And I look forward towards the end to popping back in if I can, and I'm pretty confident I can, to come and hear what the deliberations have concluded, and perhaps also pressing colleagues to try and form an all-party group to ensure that the weight of this issue continues to be at the forefront of parliamentarians' minds. So thank you again for coming today. It really is a pleasure to be here. Good that you all have all come. And at this point, I'd simply like to pass over to Lucy on my left here, who has been one of the great forces in organising today, to give you an idea as to what we'll be doing, the programme, and how hopefully you can all contribute to what I hope will be a successful afternoon here in Parliament. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, the history of Hazaras has been that of bloodshed, persecution, discrimination, massacre, enslavement, and mass exodus in less hostile lands, even as far as Australia. Hazaras have endured war and deportation, starvation, and even unjustified economic blockade by brutal enemies, often inspired by fanatic interpretation of Islam. The Hazaras are perhaps the most misunderstood people in the region, both friends and foes alike. Hazaras, aside from successive governments of Afghanistan that were and are dominated by one tribe, have suffered from the role and interferences of three countries, namely Iran, Saudi Arabia, and Pakistan. The fact is that Iran is more involved in supporting non-Shias and those that are very hostile to Shias around the world to further its own global agenda.
Another university in the city is known as the Balochistan University of Information Technology. I was commuting to and from the university, came under attack on the 18th of June 2012. 5 Hazara students and lecturers were killed and 65 were badly injured. These 2 attacks followed by threats to further attack on the Hazara communities. The result, no more Hazara students or teachers in any university in Balochistan.
Please join your hands to welcome John Denham.
I was sort of vaguely aware of the issues, but not as aware of the history and the oppression and the violence that you had suffered, as I should have been. And the reason that I want to congratulate you for organising this conference and for bringing us all together, and for not just the MPs who come here today, and this is a place where people are busy and have many preoccupations, but the people you also see in your constituencies where you live, is that it was very clear to me that the story of what has been happening, what is happening to your community, needs to be much better understood by parliamentarians here, so that we can use our voices, use our position in Parliament to raise this terrible story to a much bigger audience, and to press our own government and through them other governments to act.
States and governments that have signed up to that charter have said that they will do their best to work with the UN in order to stop genocide. So that is the reason for that resolution. Tissues. Send a lorry load of them. The solution offered by the provincial governor when confronted with demands from the Hazaras after the Maston massacre to act against the assassins.
With William Hague, the Foreign Secretary, confirming the words of Alistair Burt that this is something that the UK government will raise in other forums, that they have the opportunity to press the authorities in Pakistan to do more to end this horrific violence. So many
The Hazaras have inhabited Quetta for the past 2 centuries. The Hazaras in Pakistan are known as vigorous, hardworking, educated and civilized. We pressed hard against the war. We announced the global demonstration on 1st October 2011.
Their lives and do not miss any opportunity to kill them. It hasn't been long when they targeted a bus of pilgrims going from Quetta to Iran. The brutal way of execution exhibited.
Good afternoon, everybody. I wasn't expecting to be addressing such a large gathering, but it's very impressive that you have mobilised and brought so many people here this afternoon. I have to be honest, I wasn't aware. I was aware in vague terms, but I wasn't aware specifically of the extent or the horror of the attacks and the murders, and as we've been hearing just now, the genocide which is happening. And as that quotation said at the end, all that's necessary for evil to triumph is that good men do nothing. I feel certain that not only I, but other parliamentary colleagues, when they see the full evidence which is available, will certainly want to do something, and I support the resolutions which you have put before the meeting this afternoon. Following up the points which constituents put to me, I'm already taking up these issues with the Foreign Secretary. I'm very happy to put down parliamentary questions as well, and I'm happy to take part in the initiative to form an all-party parliamentary group. I cannot, I'm afraid, volunteer to take the lead in the formation of that group, but I'm very happy to be part of it. The technicality is, to establish an all-party group, you need a concise definition of aims. I think that is quite straightforward. And then you need 20 members of Parliament, 10 from the government parties, 10 from non-government parties, and it can be members of the House of Lords as well as members of the House of Commons, just to say that they are supporting members of the group. Once you've done that, you can have a formal quorate annual general meeting and then start a programme of activities officially under the banner of an all-party group. I've done this before, you can probably tell. Anyway, as I say, I wish you every success in your campaign. I stand ready to help and support you, and the crucial thing is to get this message across to all other members of Parliament, and also noting some points that were made in the excellent presentation there, to make sure that we lobby journalists and try and get more media attention to expose the horrors of what is happening, and to make a common call as citizens of the world that genocide must be halted. Thank you very much.
And this initiative today in the British Parliament is a very, very plus. And I'm very, very optimistic for the resolution that has been adopted today. And the elements of the resolution is very promising because no one can interfere into the affairs of another country without direct interference. No one can direct interfere, but through the campaigns and through United Nations, this issue can be handled.
I think it's very, very important that we gathered here today of not in just a simple place. It's the mother of our parliament. And we had a couple of good MPs, Alan Johnson, John Denham. They all spoke passionately about the issues and the problems the Hazaras are facing, both in Afghanistan and out. And at the end of it, there was a resolution put forward which a lot of people found it very, very interesting and found it very important to be pursued.
Well, I think it did, especially today's conference, it was a very good one, and it probably will change something, and it did persuade people to do something about it, hopefully. I mean, it kind of persuaded me to take an action and try to prevent the situation.
کنفرانس خوبی بود، حرکت بسیار بسیار عالی بود از طرف تمام هزارای مقیم انگلستان که ما واقعا باید تشکر بکنیم از همه از عزیزان که رئیس‌های کمیونیتی‌های هزارها بودن در شهرهای مختلف کشور انگلیس که اینا رفتن با ممبرای پارلمان خود صحبت کردن و این صحبت‌ها باعث شدن که اینا را این حرکت بزرگ انجام بشه.
تعداد کثیری از افغان‌های مقیم انگلستان از شهرهای مختلف این بار نه در قالب تظاهرات بلکه در قالب کمپاین دیگری در یکی از اتاق‌های پارلمان این کشور جمع شدند تا صدایشان را به گوش دولتمردان پاکستان برسانند. این بار در این اجتماع نه تنها افغان‌های مقیم انگلستان بلکه تعدادی از اعضای پارلمان این کشور نیز به کمک اینها شتافتند تا هماهنگ با اینها صدایشان را به گوش سایر اعضای از حقوق بشر در جهان برسانند. اینها امیدوارند با ایجاد چنین کمپاین ها و با ادامه این کمپاین ها دولت پاکستان را وادار کنند تا از ادامه کشتارهای مردم هزاره در کویته که هر روز بیشتر و بیشتر می شود جلوگیری کنند. اسمت امین، جمهوری سکوت، لندن.